welcome to my channel, Beautiful Minutia. If you're new here, my name is Tiffany, and today I am starting a weekend reading vlog. I'm actually doing a reading challenge as part of my Patreon group this weekend. So we're doing like a finishing a book challenge, mostly because I really needed the accountability because it is February 10th and I have not completed a single book, despite the fact that I am in the progress of reading 6 of them, and 3 of them were carryovers from last month. I also have like 5 or 6 more books that I'm supposed to be reading this month. So really, I need to get a move on. So I'm hoping that this is really going to motivate me. And I figured I would vlog the process because that's a fun way to be accountable as well. So the books that I'm currently in the progress of are Demons by Dostoevsky, which is really not a surprise, one of my carryovers. I also just started this week Père Goriot by Honoré de Balzac. I'm about 50 pages in. Really enjoying it so far. Then I have 2 smaller books that I am reading. The Prisoner of Zenda, which was my pick for the Read Your Bookshelf Challenge in January and also part of my Read or Read project. So this is a book that should have been finished in January but wasn't, so it is carried over. I am about halfway through. I have about 100 pages left. And then another really short book that's a little under 200 pages as well is The Unexpected Mrs. Polifax by Dorothy Gilman, which I am buddy reading with Chantel from Chantel Reads All Day. I started this on audio and listened to about 20% of it on audio, and I think I have like 150-ish pages left, and it's really funny and very light, which I would say that both of these are pretty light. In addition to those 2 books, I am also currently listening to The Good Neighbor, which is a biography on the life of Fred Rogers. And I have about 2 hours left in that audiobook, which I started in January. And then on ebook, I started Evelina by Frances Burney, which is the group read for Feb Regency. Obviously, that is a lot of books, and there is no way I'm going to finish all these books this weekend, and I'm not even going to attempt it. But I am going to prioritize several books with the hopes of finishing them so I can kind of move on. So the 3 books that I'm going to prioritize are The Prisoner of Zenda, which, like I said, about 100 pages left of that, about 150 pages left of this, and I also do have the audiobook, so I can switch to the audiobook if I want to once I have finished The Good Neighbor. So those are the 3 books that I am going to prioritize this weekend. Like I said, it's Friday, so this challenge is running Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, so I have 3 days in which I hope to finish 3 books. I'm also currently like deep cleaning and decluttering my house and working on those projects. So audiobooks are perfect for that, for me to just knock out a bunch of time listening while I'm doing things. So I'll kind of share what kind of projects that I am working on as well. So wish me luck, and I will keep you updated on my reading progress.
Was an important part of the strong sense of self-discipline he cultivated. In his theme week on discipline on Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, he tried to create a contrast for children between self-discipline and the imposition of outside discipline, so they could see the values of each in action.
Reading update time. So as you saw in my clips, I did get that like entertainment center of ours like cleaned and reorganized and all of that kind of stuff. So it was definitely a productive day in that respect because I took all the books off, reorganized, decided to get rid of a few, but not many, because I just don't get rid of that many non-fictions that I haven't read, which a lot of those I have not read yet. My husband's read some of them and really enjoyed them. But anyways, while I was doing that, I did finish The Good Neighbor and really, really enjoyed it. It was such a great experience, not only to read it with someone who also really loves Mr. Rogers and grew up with Mr. Rogers and Reading Rainbow, but the fact that it was read by LeVar Burton. So it was like double nostalgia to have him be the one reading it. And it was just a really delightful book in a lot of ways. It's just really nice when you see someone that has this persona on like children's television or, you know, whatever, someone that you grew up with and that you really enjoyed their programming and you admired them. And as an adult, you think about how kind they were and how much you admire them. And then you read a biography about them and find out that's exactly who they really were. Like, that's just so nice and so refreshing. And I feel like it's something that doesn't happen all that often. A lot of times we'll end up reading books about people that we admire or people who did great things historically or something like that, or maybe even did some sort of art or something, and then we just kind of find out things about them and find that they weren't who we thought they were or did some really cruddy things, and then it just kind of taints those memories for you a bit sometimes. And that was not the case with Mr. Rogers, which is just really wonderful. I will say that the book as a whole, I don't think I would give 5 stars because there were some elements to it that I didn't really like. I felt like there were some things inserted in there that were much more the author's opinions than actually was necessary to put in there about Mr. Rogers. And in a biography, I prefer not to really have that, although I guess everyone is kind of, as they're writing or doing things, they're looking at the world through their own worldview and their own lens. So there are things that they may interpret about someone's life differently than I would, but there were things that connections he was trying to make that felt like a stretch and just felt like a little off for me. And then also there were parts of the book that just felt a little bit repetitive, but it was still really excellent, and definitely give it like 4 stars. And honestly, with LeVar Burton reading it, it's probably much closer to 5 stars just because that added so much to it. Then last night, I probably could have read more, especially since this is supposed to be a reading challenge weekend, but I ended up playing video games, and my daughter was telling me she had missed watching me play video games. I hadn't played it in like over a week, and so I did some playing and I finished a game, and that was really fun. And then before I went to bed, I did read more of The Unexpected Mrs. Polifax. I ended up reading, I think, about 40 pages in this. I can't remember what page I'm on, 84, so actually probably more like 35 pages. But I have a little over 100 pages left in this book, so I feel like totally doable for me to finish this book this weekend as well. And I do have the audio of this. The audiobook says I have a little over 4 hours left, so I could listen to that while I'm doing some cleaning today. I already did get some cleaning done this morning. I took one of our homeschool shelves and rearranged that, and I'm getting rid of some books off of that as well. But I didn't listen to the audiobook of this while I was doing that because I was like charging my phone and doing other things. So I didn't get any more listened to this morning, but that's okay. I am doing some reading sprints with my Patreon this afternoon, so that will definitely help me, but I'm really enjoying this book. This book kind of gives me Miss Marple vibes, but go espionage with it. And so it's really fun. I'm finding it actually more enjoyable than I find Miss Marple, just because, you know, Miss Marple is this little old lady who gets herself into these situations and solves mysteries and stuff. But I feel like a lot of Miss Marple books I read, her personality feels really bland, and I do not feel that way about Mrs. Polifax. I love her personality. I think that she is so much fun, and I'm just enjoying the vibe as a whole of this book. It's just lighthearted and fun. The audiobook is wonderful. The physical book is wonderful. So I am really, really enjoying this one. And then I do still have The Prisoner of Zenda, which I have not made any progress on. But if I'm switching to audiobook for this today, and I end up finishing it today, I don't know if I will or not, but if I end up finishing it, then this will be my remaining physical book, and I have about 100 pages left of this as well. I'm about halfway through, and it's a small book, you know, it's not going to take me that long to read. So I feel pretty confident that I could probably complete both of these by the end of the weekend, maybe even by the end of today. It just depends how much of the audiobook I listen to while I'm cleaning and how much cleaning I do. But overall, I'm thrilled with how much progress I've made so far, because if I can knock 3 books off, I'm going to feel like it's easier to make progress in the books that I'm already currently reading. So that's all for now, and I will keep you updated about my progress as I go. Good morning. It is Sunday morning, and so I just wanted to do a quick reading update. We did sprints yesterday in my Discord for my patrons who are participating in the weekend reading challenge that I'm doing this weekend. And so during that, I got a ton of The Prisoner of Zenda read, which is awesome. So when I went to bed last night, I had about 4 chapters left and I did finish it. So far I have finished 2 books this weekend, which is really exciting. I would say that The Prisoner of Zenda overall is not really like my favorite and not typically my type of book, just because I don't love the whole action adventure swashbuckling. It's just not my favorite thing most of the time. Although I will say that there are times where I'm in the mood for books like that. And so I think that if I had read this either as like a family read aloud or when I was more in the mood for it, I think I would have enjoyed it more, because it's very much that classic action adventure, which you can kind of tell from the cheesy cover. So it's very interesting in some places. There's a lot of humor in it that I really appreciated, and some other things that I was just kind of like, why? But you know, that's that way with a lot of books. But overall, like, I enjoyed it fine. It's not a favorite. I don't know if I'll ever reread it, but I'll probably hang on to it in case Claire might want to read it at some point. It is part of my read or read project, so it was a book that I had the potential to get rid of, or you know, whatever. So out of the 2 books that I had in January, I already got rid of one of them, and I think maybe I'll hang on to this one. We'll see if that changes by the time I end up doing an update for it, but it was fine overall. I think I gave it like maybe 3 stars is probably, you know, kind of middle of the road. And then I was listening to a little bit of the audiobook for The Unexpected Mrs. Polifax, but I ended up not listening to very much of it. So I am 96 pages in. I'm like at the halfway point pretty much. I have about like 100 pages or so left. So I'm really enjoying this one. This one is really, really fun. I'm hoping I'll be able to finish this today. I don't see any reason why I wouldn't. I have a little less than 4 hours left in the audiobook if I decided to listen to it, if I'm cleaning or anything like that. But even if I don't, I feel like I could easily finish this book physically today, and I am really enjoying it overall. So yeah, so this has been really successful so far. So I'll update you if I end up finishing this and what my thoughts on it are. This is the first book in a series, which actually, apparently this is, I think, a duology as well. And there is a sequel to this one, which it does kind of, the ending kind of does leave you open potentially for a sequel, but I read a little bit about the sequel and I definitely am not interested in reading the sequel. I think it's fine the way it is and doesn't really need more. But this is like a pretty long series, I think, much like, you know, some of Agatha Christie's series, although this is espionage over just like a straight up like whodunit mystery, so it is different in that way. But yeah, this is a series as well, and this is one that I could see myself potentially wanting to continue on and read more of when I need kind of like a light little palate cleanser. So like I said, today is Sunday, so I have church this morning and then I don't really have anything else going on the rest of the day, so I plan to relax, maybe take a little nap and do some reading, and I will update you on my progress. Good morning. In true Tiffany fashion, I am finishing this weekend reading vlog on a Monday because that's pretty much what I always do. I did want to do a final update and I didn't want to do one last night because I was still working on The Unexpected Mrs. Pollifax and I fell asleep when I had about 30 pages left. So I have finished this book, but I finished it this morning when I got up. So technically, I didn't finish this book during the weekend reading challenge. I finished it the next morning, but I really enjoyed this book. This book was so much more fun than I expected it to be. Like, I'm pretty sure that this is probably my favorite book of the three that I finished this weekend, and it was just a really fun ride and really funny in places and heartwarming in places, very descriptive at times, which was super enjoyable, and I just really loved every second of reading this book. My dog is snoring so dang loud, so sorry about that. That's probably distracting, but we're just gonna ignore it. We're just gonna go with it. Anyways, so this does have some twists and turns because it is, you know, like a spy story and there's a lot of things going on and trying to figure out what is going on and who certain people are and things like that. I did find that the resolution to some of those was just kind of either far-fetched or unbelievable, but overall, I just thought it was just so much fun. Well, thank you for tuning in for this fun weekend reading challenge vlog. It was really fun to take you along with me. I'd love to hear from you in the comments down below. What is your favorite book that you finished so far in February? Or are you like me and you're kind of struggling and have been having a hard time finishing some books? Because if that's the case, hopefully maybe this vlog will be a little bit of motivation for you too. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked this video, please hit like and also subscribe so you can continue to see more bookish content from me, and I will see you again next time.